New uses for old silly bands. An activity idea brought to you by yourtherapysource.com. The purpose of this activity is to encourage fine motor skills, coordination, visual motor skills, and hand strengthening. We're going to be using various materials for these activities. For the first activity, try placing silly bands on a carabiner clip. You could get several different colored carabiner clips and match the silly bands to the correct colors. Activity number 2 is to glue down one silly band on a piece of paper. Draw a surrounding scene around that one silly band. Once the silly band is dried, you can draw inside the object for the rest of the details. Activity number 3 is a geoboard. Hammer in 9 thumbtacks on a small piece of wood. Then you can place your silly bands on them in different directions. For activity number 4, you can make clay imprints. Roll out the clay flat on the table. Pick one silly band and press it in firmly. Roll over it with the rolling pin again, and then gently remove the silly band, and you'll have an imprint in the clay. Activity number 5, you can hide the silly bands inside the clay, and the child can work to remove each of them from the clay. Activity number 6 is to make a silly bands belt. Connect them all together to make a long chain of silly bands. How about a traditional rubber band ball? Get a large ball of tinfoil and wrap your silly bands around it. Did you know that silly bands can float? Wrap a pipe cleaner around a pencil to use it as a fishing rod and fish them out of the water. How about try hiding the silly bands inside the bean box? And the children can work hard to get each of the silly bands outside of the beans. For another coloring project, glue down several silly bands and let them dry. Practice coloring inside the lines by coloring inside each of the silly bands. How about use a silly band for a homemade pencil grip? Place coffee stirrers or colored sticks inside balls of clay, and you can place the silly bands around each of the sticks. Try sorting them or playing ring toss. Finally, get some silly bands that represent different animals or instruments and play charades. For more activity ideas, visit yourtherapysource.com or find us on Facebook.